It is January 1901. You are standing in a private room at the St. Andrew's Golf Club in Westchester, New York. A man named Charles Schwab has just asked you a question no one has dared to ask before. What is your price? You don't blink. You pull out a slip of paper. You write a single number, $480 million. Schwab takes the paper to J.P. Morgan's private library on Madison Avenue. Morgan, the most powerful banker in America, looks at it for less than a minute. I accept. No lawyers, no written contract, no due diligence. The largest private business transaction in human history, settled on a handshake. Morgan shakes your hand the next day and says, "Congratulations, Mr. Carnegie. You are now the richest man in the world." You smile, because 60 years ago, you were a 13-year-old boy in a cotton mill, earning $1.20 a week. You are born in 1835 in Dunfermline, Scotland. Your father is a handloom weaver, a skilled trade that has fed families for centuries. Then, the power looms arrive. The factories, the machines that don't sleep, don't eat, don't negotiate. Your father's craft is erased in a generation. The family is ruined. In 1848, your parents scrape together enough to emigrate. You arrive in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You are 13 years old. You speak with an accent no one trusts. You own nothing. Your first job, bobbin boy at a cotton mill. You change spools of thread 12 hours a day in a room that stinks of oil and damp cotton. $1.20 a week. But you are fast, and you are watching. Within a year, you're a telegraph messenger, then an operator. You teach yourself to decode messages by ear, translating the clicks of the telegraph without writing them down first. It's a rare skill. Maybe a dozen people in Pittsburgh can do it. You are 14. A man named Thomas Scott notices you. Scott is superintendent of the Pennsylvania Railroad's Western Division, one of the most powerful positions in American industry. He hires you as his personal secretary and telegrapher. $35 a month. You are 18. Scott doesn't just hire you. He educates you. He teaches you how capital works, how money moves, how the men who own the infrastructure own the future. And then he shows you the trick that changes everything. Lesson 1. Make your money work before you do. Scott comes to you with an opportunity. The Adams Express Company is selling shares in a sleeping car venture. Luxury train compartments for overnight passengers. The price, $500. You don't have $500. You don't have $50. But Scott tells you to find it. So your mother mortgages the family home. Think about that. You are 20 years old. Your family crossed an ocean to escape poverty. And you are betting the roof over their heads on a stock tip from your boss. The investment returns $5,000 a year, more than 10 times the money back, every single year. Your salary is $600. This single investment pays 8 times what your labor does. This is the moment Andrew Carnegie stops being a worker and becomes a capitalist. Not gradually, not philosophically, in one transaction. Money making money. I shall remember that check as long as I live, you write later. It gave me the first penny I ever had that I did not earn by the sweat of my brow. From here, you invest in everything. Oil wells during the Civil War, iron bridges as the railroads expand west. You build the Keystone Bridge Company, replacing wooden railroad bridges with iron ones, and you use your connections to the Pennsylvania Railroad to guarantee contracts. By the time you are 30, you are worth $400,000. You have not built a single product. You have simply understood, before almost anyone else, that capital is a machine, and machines work while you sleep. Then, in 1872, you visit England, and you see the future. Lesson 2. Own every link in the chain. In England, you witness the Bessemer process, a method that converts raw iron into steel in minutes instead of days. Steel is stronger, lighter, and more versatile than iron. It will build the railroads, the bridges, the skyscrapers of the next century. You know it instantly. You come home and build your first steel mill in 1875. You name the company Carnegie Steel. But here is what separates you from every other industrialist of the Gilded Age. You don't just make steel. You own the entire supply chain that feeds the furnaces. Iron ore mines in the Mesabi Range, coal fields in Pennsylvania, coke ovens to process the coal, limestone quarries for the flux, your own railroad, the Bessemer and Lake Erie, to haul it all, your own shipping fleet on the Great Lakes. From the moment raw ore leaves the ground to the moment a finished steel rail rolls off the line, every step happens on Carnegie property, using Carnegie equipment, employing Carnegie workers. This is vertical integration at a scale no one has attempted before. And the result is devastating. Your production cost drops from $56 per ton to $11.50. Your competitors are paying 3, 4, 5 times what you pay to make the same product. They aren't competing against a company. They're competing against a closed system. You hire brilliant operators. Charles Schwab runs the mills. Henry Clay Frick manages the coke operations with a ruthlessness that matches your own. And you install a mantra that becomes the beating heart of Carnegie Steel. Watch the costs, and the profits will take care of themselves. By 1900, Carnegie Steel produces more steel than the entire nation of Great Britain. A single company, outproducing an empire. Lesson 3. Buy when there's blood in the streets. In 1873, a financial panic sweeps the United States. Banks fail. Railroads collapse. Steel companies shutter overnight. Men who were millionaires in January are bankrupt by March. Most industrialists retrench. You expand. Your logic is simple and merciless. When your competitors are desperate, their assets are cheap. The machines still work. The furnaces still fire. The only thing that's changed is the price tag. You buy mills, equipment, and land at fractions of their value. While other men are begging banks for credit, you are writing checks. You do it again in 1893. Another panic. Another wave of bankruptcies. Another round of acquisitions at pennies on the dollar. By the time the economy recovers, Carnegie Steel has absorbed its weakest rivals and emerged twice as large. This is not opportunism. It is doctrine. You have built a company with low costs, no debt, and massive cash reserves specifically so that when the next crisis arrives, and it always arrives, you can move while everyone else is paralyzed. Warren Buffett will say it a century later. Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. He learned it from reading about you. But cost obsession and crisis acquisition are clean strategies. The next chapter is not. Lesson 4. Your reputation is a weapon until it turns on you. Before Homestead, you are the good capitalist. You have published essays defending workers' rights. You have written, in public, that laborers have the right to organize and that employers who suppress unions are tyrants. You are beloved. In 1892, the contract with the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers at your Homestead mill expires. The union wants to negotiate. You want to break them, but you cannot do it yourself, not with your reputation. So you leave for a vacation in Scotland and hand the operation to Henry Clay Frick, your partner, your attack dog, the man who has never pretended to have a conscience. Frick locks out 3,800 workers. He builds 3 miles of fence around the mill, topped with barbed wire. Workers call it Fort Frick. He hires 300 Pinkerton detectives armed with Winchester rifles and puts them on barges. July 6th, 4 in the morning. The Pinkertons arrive by river on the Monongahela. The workers have been warned. Thousands are waiting on the riverbank. What follows is a 14-hour battle. Gunfire from both sides. Workers pour oil on the river and light it. Dynamite is thrown at the barges. 7 workers are killed. 3 Pinkertons are killed. Dozens more are wounded. The Pinkertons surrender. They are beaten as they walk through town. A gauntlet of fists and fury. The governor sends in 8,500 National Guard troops. The strike is broken by November. Workers return under worse terms. No union, lower wages, 12-hour shifts. And you? You are in Scotland, sending telegrams. One of them, to Frick, reads, "We approve of anything you do." The public sees through it. The man who wrote essays about workers' dignity hired a private army to crush them. Every editorial, every op-ed, every speech you ever gave about labor rights now reads as performance. Calculated branding. The mask comes off, and underneath it is just another Gilded Age boss willing to kill for margin. Your reputation never fully recovers. Frick never forgives you for letting him take the blame. When someone later suggests the two of you reconcile, Frick sends a message. Tell Carnegie, I'll meet him in hell. Lesson 5. Know when to sell. December 1900. The University Club, New York City. Charles Schwab, not the brokerage founder, your company president, gives the most important dinner speech in American business history. 80 of the most powerful financiers in America are in the room. Schwab lays out a vision. The steel industry is fragmented, inefficient, competitive to the point of mutual destruction. What it needs is consolidation. One company, one system, one empire of steel. J.P. Morgan is in the audience. He is captivated. Within weeks, Morgan summons Schwab to his private library on Madison Avenue, a room where more deals have been made than in most courthouses. Morgan says one thing: if Carnegie wants to sell, I will buy. Schwab approaches you during a round of golf, and you do something extraordinary. You don't negotiate. You don't haggle. You don't hire a bank to run a process. You write a number on a scrap of paper and hand it over. $480 million. Morgan accepts the same day. The entire transaction, the largest in world history to that point, is closed on a handshake between two men who understand that at this level, your word is the only contract that matters. The deal creates the United States Steel Corporation, the first billion-dollar company in history, and it makes you, at 65, the richest man on Earth. The lesson is not about the number. It is about the timing. You sell at the absolute peak. When your competitors are weakest, your technology is dominant, and a buyer exists who wants the asset more than you do. You sell before antitrust catches up, before labor costs rise, before the next crisis forces the price down. Most empire builders cannot let go. You let go at the exact right moment. Lesson 6. The man who dies rich dies disgraced. Those are your words, published in 1889, 12 years before you sell. An essay called The Gospel of Wealth. Your argument is radical for its time and still uncomfortable now. The rich have a moral obligation to give away their fortunes during their lifetimes. Not to their children, not to the government, to the public, directly, strategically, while they are alive to ensure it is done right. After the sale, you do exactly what you promised. You build 2,509 public libraries across the world. You fund Carnegie Hall, Carnegie Mellon University, the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. You donate $350 million, nearly $7 billion in today's money. By the time you die in 1919, at 83, you have given away over 90% of your fortune. The boy who arrived in Pittsburgh with nothing leaves the world with almost nothing. By design. But here is the tension that makes Carnegie more interesting than a saint or a villain. The libraries were built with money earned from 12-hour shifts at Homestead. The university was funded by the margins squeezed from workers who earned $2 a day. The Peace Endowment was endowed by a man who hired Pinkertons. The 6 lessons of Carnegie Steel. 1. Make your money work before you do. Capital is a machine. 2. Own every link in the chain. Vertical integration turns a company into a closed system. 3. Buy when there's blood in the streets. Cash reserves are a weapon. 4. Your reputation is a strategic asset until the moment it collapses. 5. Know when to sell. Timing is the final edge. 6. What you do with the money defines the legacy, not how you made it. Or maybe that last one is the biggest lie of all. Maybe you can't buy back a reputation with libraries. Maybe the blood at Homestead doesn't wash off, no matter how many books you shelve. Carnegie didn't think so. He believed the giving redeemed the getting. Whether you agree is the question this channel keeps asking. See you next episode.